Hello S1. Today we're going to look at keys. You may have come across keys in other subjects and other parts of the course, but we're just going to go through what they are and how to make one. You may already know what this organism is. It is a ladybird, but if you imagine you had never seen one before and you were trying to ask someone what it was, it would be very difficult to identify it. You could describe it to the other person. You could say, it was small, it was about 4 millimeters long, it had red wings, they opened and the little insect or whatever it was could fly. It had a black head, it had two little pincery things at the top, and it was on a leaf. And just from that description, on the fact that it was spotted as well, someone might be able to work out what you had seen. What you have done without knowing it is give the other person the opportunity to use their mental key, which we all have in our brains for everything we've ever seen that we know what it is. And using that, they could identify it because you said it was small, it had red wings, and it had spots. And that person immediately went, okay, what are all the things I know that are small? Okay, of that set, what are all the things I know that have red wings? And of that set, what are all the things I know that have spots? And using those questions, they were able to work out what it was. So, in order to identify something we're not familiar with, for example, even as a biologist, I cannot tell trees apart. I don't know the difference between an oak and a birch or whatever. I have to Google it. If I was good at using keys, I wouldn't have to do that. There's lots of different kinds of keys. We look at branching keys and we look at paired statement keys. Branching keys are a little bit simpler. Paired statement keys are a little bit more tricky, but it's what you need to be able to do by the end of this course. So we start with a branching key. You have a set of objects or organisms or whatever you're trying to identify, and you ask questions to split them into groups. So if we were trying to do a key as a class, and I had a particular person in my brain, you might say, okay, is it a boy? And I might say, yes. And you think, okay, right, well, that was the set of people I could see, right? We'll rule out all the girls. So we're only thinking about the boys now. And you might say, okay, do they have green eyes? And I would look around the classroom and I would say, yes, the person I'm thinking of has green eyes. And you would think, well, the only boy who has green eyes is Mark. If I had said no for green eyes, you would think, well, the only boy who does not have green eyes is Stephen. If it was not a boy, you might think, oh, well, let's see. An easy way to split the girls into two would be whether or not they have glasses. So the only person who is a girl who wears glasses is Claire. The only person who is a girl who does not wear glasses is Jenna. So you ask questions until it's possible to identify someone. So this person here, you can pause the video and have we look at the key. Not to be, too presumptive, but looking at this picture, do you imagine this person is a boy? If they are, go down this branch. If they're not, go down this branch. And if you think they're a boy, do they have green eyes? If yes, Mark. If no, Stephen. Do they wear glasses? If yes, Claire. If no, Jenna. Okay, well, the answer to this would probably be Claire, because this individual probably is a girl, and they do seem to be wearing glasses, so it's Claire. So you can make a branching key for the Mr. men. So we have Mr. Clumsy, Mr. Forgetful, Mr. Fussy, Mr. Happy, Mr. Impossible, Mr. Strong, Mr. Grumpy, and Mr. Nosy. So look at these pictures and how could you split these into two groups? So think about what is it that some of these, maybe half if you're lucky, of these Mr. Men have or do and that half don't. Okay, so you might have thought, are they wearing a hat? Because Mr. Forgetful is, Mr. Impossible is, Mr. Strong is, Mr. Grumpy is, Mr. Nosy's Happy, Fussy, and Clumsy are not. Okay, so we split it. So the first question would be, are they wearing a hat? Yes, no. Like this. Are they wearing a hat? Yes, no. Let's deal with the hats first. So it can get a little bit confusing what to do next. You just randomly and arbitrarily pick which side of the group you're going to start with. So we'll start with the hats. Okay, so we still have these people, Impossible, Strong, Grumpy, and Forgetful. Look at these individuals. What is a difference between them? Well, the differences I can see are, is smiling would be a good question, or because then you would split these and these. Green hat would be one good question. So do they have a green hat? Yes, no. Do they have a blue hat? Yes would be Mr. Impossible, and the 3 would be left in the other side. Are they circular or are they square? Lots of good questions to split these. So we split them easily, round or square. You can choose any of the things we discussed, though they're equally appropriate. And now we get to the point where we've asked, what was it? We asked if they had a hat, we asked what shape they were, and now you only for each of these subgroups need to ask one more question. For this one, you can ask the colour of the hat, colour of hat, blue, Mr. Impossible, colour of hat, red, Mr. Forgetful, and this side you could ask happy or sad. So this is what our pairs statement key would look like. So, colour of hat, blue and red. Now let's deal with the square ones. So the difference would probably be smiling or not smiling. You could go with the width if you wanted, but it doesn't really matter. Now let's deal with ones not wearing a hat. So colour would be an easy one to do. Mustache would be an easy one to do, etc., etc. Hair or no hair is also a good one. So we would say, do they have hair? Do they not have hair? Let's deal with the ones who have hair first. So they both have mustaches, they're both smiling, they both have hair. One of them has frizzy Dr. Armstrong hair, and one of them has nice flat hair. One of them has tied shoes, one of them does not have tied shoes. And the other ones, you could go with shoes or no shoes, red or yellow, big smile, small open eyes, closed eyes, hands, no hands. Any of these things are okay. So you can see when you look at that, you think, whoa, that's really, really complicated. But all we did was take it one question at a time. Every time you're just splitting your group and then ignoring every individual who's not in your new group. So we went wearing a hat, ignore everyone else. Round, ignore everyone else. Red hat, ignore everyone else. And then you can go back until you've got everyone filled in. Have a go on your own. Even just write down the questions you would use to separate these organisms. What are the differences? So you can pause the video and think about that for a second. Okay, so what I can see are wings, antennae, um, maybe the number, whether or not they've got hands, nose. That one's got a nose, and those are the only ones I can see at the moment. Anyway, okay, fine. So I was kind of expecting to press the button and something would come up. So I would probably say has wings. Yes, no. If we chose the yeses, we could say has antenna. If it has an antenna, it's Chris. If it doesn't, it's Kate. This is easy. In the no wings section, you could again just use antennae. So has antennae. Glenn does not have antennae. Edward. There's statement key here. So this is an example of a paired statement key. Once they give you a paired statement, sorry, I've done paired statement keys. This is the other type of key. This is paired statement keys. Now, it's actually identical to a branching key. We just organize the questions differently. Rather than putting a question at the top and physically you can see the branches, this is like a choose your own mystery book. There used to be Goosebump books where you could do this. So you would do question number 1, has needles. If it has needles, goes to question 2. If it does not have needles, go to question 3. What I quite often do is just like with the branching keys where we took it one at a time, I would do question 1 and needles go to 2. I would then completely ignore the no needles. So I would write needles go to 2, no needles go to, and then just leave a blank. And once we've sorted all the needles out, you can come back up and work out what number question this is. So needles go to 2. Needles in pair, because there's only 4 needles in pair, will give you the answer Scotch pine, and needles in group will give you larch. And because we've only used that one extra question, no needles goes to question 3. If the leaves have spines, so spiky bits, it's holly. If they have no spines, it's oak. So you can pause the video and have a go at this. So this I do not think has needles. So we go to 3, question 3. I don't think it has spines, I think it's an oak. Because there's no needles. We went to 3, and it was an oak. Well done us. Identifying these invertebrates. So the reason it doesn't say insects is because insects have 6 legs, arachnids have 8, and we have arachnids, and I can't actually remember what you call these particular animals that have more than 8. So have a go, looking through, seeing if you can work out what A, B, C, D, and E are, and pause the video and write it down. Okay, let's work them through one at a time. This thing, I would say, is a spider because I've got a zoology degree, but I won't hold that against you. So it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 legs, has more than 8 legs. So we're going to go to question 3. Question 3, I've just counted it as 8 legs, it's a spider. B is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's an insect of some kind. B, let's have a look, has more than 6 legs. It doesn't. It has 6 legs. So we'll go to question 2. It doesn't look like it has wings to me, so it's a beetle. C, 6 legs but has wings, so it has 6 legs. Go to 2, has wings, housefly. D, 1, 2, way more than it's got, what's it got? 3, 6, 7, 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Yeah, 14 legs for D, so that's more than 6. Go to question 3. Has more than 8. Go to question 4. It's got fewer, not less, fewer than 20, so it's a woodlouse or a slater. So E, we're going to answer the same questions. More than 6, more than 8, more than 20, it's a millipede. So when you write a paired statement E, the total number of statements will always be one fewer than the, I don't know why this person keeps saying this, one fewer than the number of organisms. You don't really need to worry about that. It's just a good way to check that you've done it properly. So if you're identifying 6 different animals, you'll probably have 5 different questions, 5 different paired statements. Once you've decided how you will split the animals for the first statement, just work through that one to the end and then come back to the start again for any organisms you haven't described. So we could do one together using some of the Mr. Men we've looked at before. Apparently not. So paired statement keys, I would do question number 1, has a hat. Go to 2. So go to question 2. So under question 2, so we've got Mr. Possible, Mr. Forgetful, is covering mouth, and then you can actually put the word Mr. Forgetful in beside that because they're the only one wearing a hat and covering mouth, and is not fully covering mouth or is waving hands or whatever, and then Mr. Possible. And because we only used one extra question, we go back to question 1, and is not wearing a hat, we would write go to 3. So on question 3, you could write, I can see their hands, I cannot see their hands. If it's I can see their hands, you'd write go to 4. If it's I cannot see their hands, that's Mr. Happy, because there's only non-hatted hand hider. So you'd write Mr. Happy. Under question 4, you would write something like has hair, has no hair. Under has hair, you'd write Mr. Clumsy. Under has no hair, you'd write Mr. Noisy. So have we go on your own writing these as paired statements? Okay, so again, I would probably do has wings, has no wings. Under has wings, it would be go to question 2. On question 2, I would probably do, it's difficult to keep in my head, has antennae, go to 3. Has no antennae, we'll ignore that for just now. So under go to 3, question 3, I would put has hands, Chris has no hands, Nick. We would then go back one and say it would be go to 5. Under question 5, we have the winged ones, and I would still use has hands, Pam has no hands, Kate. Would then, again, this is difficult to keep in my head without writing it down. Question 1, we then have to go to 6 for the people who do not have wings, and under 6, you could use has antennae, go to 7, and then has hands, Glenn has no hands, Lucy, and you'd go back one, right, go to 8. Under question 8, we have, I've lost the track here, I think we have Edward and Paul left, so you would have has hands, Paul has no hands, Edward. So it's just taking it one at a time. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. I want to show you your booklet. So what I would like to do as your task is go to your booklet and see if you can work out which cow is cow 1. If you zoom in on this, it will, one would hope, give you the name. I think it's Highland, Angus, Russian Blue, Black Clyde, and Frisian. So work out what cow 1 is, and using the dinosaurs, work out what dinosaur 1 and dinosaur 2 is. You can also do this one here, we did it in the video, but see if you can work it out. So these are pair statement and branched. And then have a go at these here. You actually get to decide what you want to call these. So you can call that one Brian for all I care. You can call it tall neck. Don't really care. Whatever you want to call these, you get to decide, and then you can make your own pair statement keys. If you find that you can't write in these boxes, please just do it on paper, take a photo and send it in, or something like that. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. I've gone through the PowerPoint and I've gone through what I want you to do in your notes. There's also a Google Forms quiz that I would like you to complete